Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Curations Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Review. I am the Bass Negus, Negus. Make sure you hit that like button for me while you're here. I definitely appreciate you chiming in, and I hope you guys are having a great day. So let's go ahead and get started here. So let me switch over to the pedal board view. Let's make sure we got enough volume here. I don't want to have to yell. Just kind of talk. So we're just for simplicity's sake, we're gonna focus on just this board over here, right? So this is my main gigging board at the moment. I know it keeps changing. I know it keeps changing. It's gonna keep changing. So I have pretty much this bigger board running into, well, everything starts here with this T-tone 3-loop switcher. So this is 3 effects loops here. And the first one, so I come in, normally when I'm gigging, I come in here. I'll explain this board later. But this is the main one that needs all the explanation. So come in here. We got the compressor here, the Empress compressor. Now, the main reason I have that on a loop is because I really love that pedal and I don't want to have to plug in and out of it, right? So I don't want it to be necessarily, messing up the jacks and, that type of thing. So in order to help preserve it a bit, it's not the cheapest pedal. I like to keep it on this loop 1. And if I want to take it out, I can just take it out that way or, right there at the edge of the pedal board. But then I have, on my next loop here, I have an OC2. So let me take some of this stuff off. You can have the OC2 set up. So I don't want it on that note. Okay. So I can use that for various things there. I can use it as just straight up, just octave up, type effect. Or I can use it as an octave down effect. So use it as a straight octave down. I can also use it with all 3 octaves in poly mode. Use something like that in conjunction with the MS-70 CDR Plus. So, I can do all types of stuff with it right there. And of course it has that added benefit of I can still have that octave down, but not have it on the top notes, just have it on the very lowest note. So very useful octaver, the Boss OC5. I love it personally. If you could find one anywhere, grab it, So the third effects loop here is just the future impact and the deep freeze. So I have the deep freeze there. I can have that. If I want to freeze anything, I can just hold the actual toggle switch, right? And I also like to keep the Empress compressor the Atlas, Source Audio Atlas compressor at the end, and that's running 1176 into a LA2A compressor. The LA2A is just for saturation. So, you know, it's a nice way to get to those beautiful pads, things like that. So I like to keep stuff like that not too far from the front, because it's more of I use it more like a synth pedal than using it like more so a pedal that I want, I want the other effects to affect that sound, because by itself, it's still really nice by itself, but at the same time, it also, let me turn on this chat, make sure. Y'all got any questions, let me know. Feel free to ask questions. And that's another way I stop it when it's on auto. I just mute and I pluck and it'll stop. You see? So absolutely love the deep freeze as well. So far we got compressor into octave, into really the future impact. I'm sorry. This one's going into the future impact, then into the deep freeze, but that's the deep. I don't use the deep freeze on the synth effects necessarily. I don't want that sound frozen. It needs to be able to move and breathe and do some other stuff. So I like to use, we got the future impact here. Reminding you guys that all these pedals you see, MS-70 CDR+, Future Impact, Enzo X. What's going on from Kansas? I appreciate you chiming in, stopping by. I definitely appreciate everybody on all the platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the good stuff. Twitch. Appreciate all of you. And make sure I hit that like button and subscribe if you like this type of content. This is the type of content I like to do. So make sure you subscribe so you know when. And if you want any of the packs for these pedals, 11 different preamp packs for the ToneX 1, Future Impact, MS-70 CDR+, all that stuff's on the Patreon. And if you just want to support the channel. So yeah, the Future Impact gets dirty, and that's just a few sounds. That's the best bass synth out right now. I know the hype, but don't believe the hype. Future Impact is where it's at. And mind you, you don't even have to spend all the time I spent dialing in. I think it's a lot of sounds in that sound pack by now. You know, it's over 30, 40 sounds in that sound Future Impact pack on Patreon, on my on Patreon. All of them fire like that. You know, and this unit, the reason you want to have a unit like this closer to the front is so you always have you can put plenty of things after it. So let's see. So some of these I designed with other pedals in mind. So I just use, let me see what we got here. Awesome. Appreciate y'all fellas for chiming in. So thanks to all you guys that did chime in yesterday. I definitely appreciate that. I was playing at it was an award reception. So just playing with my boy Alex Parchment. You know, if you want to see, we just did a little trio gig. It was bass, guitar, and trumpet. You know, they didn't want anything too loud. So, you know, they didn't have the drums come out. But yeah, that's why I was playing that yesterday. You can check that out on my YouTube page as well. And yeah, definitely. Yeah, play them basses, man. Play them basses, Walt. You know, but I definitely I love the Future Impact, and I like to, like I said, have it run through different things. So I might let's bring that to. So if I want to do stuff like that or run it through other filters and stuff, I have some patches set up for that as well. But you know, the Future Impact is so good. Where we at? Here we go. Let's go to. Got your Michael Jackson. Oh, got to take all this other stuff off. In fact, let me go back. Make sure left that on. And that you can hear the latency. What's going on, folks? Appreciate y'all dropping. Everybody drop a high for me. Everybody drop a what's up. You know, I appreciate all y'all hit that like button for me. Y'all don't understand how much y'all hitting that like button to help me out. Just hitting that like button definitely will help me keep things like this going and keep it in your algorithm a little bit more. You know, but yeah, you get your Michael Jackson sounds. Let me see. I did another one. I think it was 86. Man in the Mirror. Oh. So yeah, I definitely appreciate y'all. I don't even know what that means. Oh, okay. Why does it show up like that on mine? But I appreciate all you guys chiming in. Thank you. Uh, is it spell kind? Trying to make sure I pronounce that right. Hopefully I can get that right. But I appreciate everybody chiming in. Hit them like buttons for me. So yeah, future impact, and you can control other synths with it. That's something that none of the other pedals can do. So I can take that same tracking and I can control this motif over here I have behind me, or I can also, control any other MIDI device with, say I wanted the lights to be triggered through MIDI by the notes I was playing. The future impact could actually pull that off for you, and that would be a really cool feature to have a light show that responds to the notes that you play. But yeah, so that's the third loop. So let me come out of the third loop, go straight into the ToneX one, which you've already been listening to. But let's matter of fact, let me do something real quick. I need to tighten this. I just cleaned my pots on my bass, so now I didn't quite tighten this one back enough. So now I gotta quickly do it. But yeah, future impact is, I'm not sure why people aren't really talking about it too much, but the future impact is the absolute best bass synth pedal. You guys don't have to keep asking me now. It's the best. Literally sounds the best and everything. As a bass synth, vintage bass synth. So check it out. Next up, ToneX one. All right, now that we're back. So here's my bass flat without the ToneX one. This is with just the Empress compressor and the Atlas compressor as a limiter. Add the ToneX one, and the ToneX run is running the new pack I'll be releasing this week, guys. For all you ToneX users, I'll be releasing a pack using the using the JHS color box running into various preamps. So you'll have the color box sound, firmness, and saturation running into things like the Gensler Magellan, the Aguilar AG preamp, and the Ampeg SGT. Those are the three I'll be doing combinations with the Color Box V2. And if that's something that you're interested in, you can have that sound by just getting a ToneX one. Or if you want any of the other 11 preamp packs I have on there, like the Gens Bench Shuttle 9.0, which is a tube preamp in there, the Harkey TX 600, all these are available on the Patreon. So, but you go from, which is already a great, let me pull this volume down a bit. There we go. Right? So it's already a great sound. But you add that ToneX one. And this one, I forgot one. The color box running into the Gens Bench Shuttle 9. So that is like giving you the best of both, the solid state firmness while still having the, fluffier part of your sound. Now let me EQ my bass a little bit the way I would like to use it, and you'll hear a complete difference. So that's just the Empress color box and the Atlas compressor. It's literally compression running into the two preamps, the color box and the Jens Bench shuttle tone model I have on my ToneX one, and then running that into the Atlas compressor, which is running 1176 limiter, which is running a 10-to-1 ratio in parallel. So half dry, half the wet signal of the limiter, and then I run that into an 11A 2A tube compressor, but I have that at a 1-to-1 ratio with all wet, so basically it's just adding saturation to it. So that's pretty much the staple of my bass sound itself. Let me see what we got here. So do I have a process to get out of the tweaking, tone chasing while trying to create and practice? So yeah, practice, focus. One thing I use is a metronome. So when you practice with a metronome, you're using that click, right? And if you really get concentrated on it, the click disappears. When that click disappears, that means you're in the groove, you're lined up really good. So from there, I use loops. So I don't just play my bass by itself. I use a looper. I use a Digitech Jam Man Solo HD, which is down here on the floor, and that helps me not. So it helps me do two things. When I'm creating, it helps me get that initial idea down, so I'm not just fiddling, right? And playing the same idea over and over. Okay, I got the idea, the first idea. Now let me add some layers to it, or let me start to build around the original idea. And that's one of the best ways to do that. And just stay focused. Like start working on your weaknesses a lot more than your strengths. Like if you do that, you'll see all the gaps in your playing, and you'll start to worry more about what you're doing and executing things. And then for me it goes execution and then tone and then everything else, because the tone, if you're not executing it properly, it doesn't matter how good you sound playing a note if you're not playing the majority of notes correctly. So then you make sure that the notes that you're playing sound really good. So that's how you get out of that always fiddling around. But you need some fiddling around. Don't discount the fiddling around. Just don't fiddle around when you're supposed to be practicing. There's enough time in the day where you can practice and be creative with your ideas. Make sure y'all subscribe, hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? Who else is gonna give you this type of advice? They all just give you such mystical, non-useful advice sometimes I hear on the internet. But yeah, so that's that tone model. And then I like to use one that has so that was the color box running into the Jens Bench shuttle preamp, which is a tube preamp. This is the color box running into the Gensler Magellan. And mind you, I had this high pass. I got this preset where it's high pass. It has the high pass filter set around 60. So it really cleans up the low end. allows me to push my low end if I wanted to. If I wanted to add more low end, it's not gonna get so boomy. Like I never on any patch have ever been able to push my bass. My bass knob is all the way up. Now watch when I switch to another patch. All them extra, well, if you're not using good headphones, you might not hear all those low frequencies, but when you switch it to that high pass filter, it cleans it up. You know how clear that got? Versus, now granted, I EQ'd these bad boys down. I ain't gonna lie to you. I EQ'd these patches down. They sound great, you know, if I gotta say it myself. And because I use these exact ones I use live. And I had the color box and the different preamps on my board. And I was like, man, I want to have all of them. So that ToneX, the ToneX doesn't take up any space. And it also allows me to have my preamp models right after all my synth pedals. So all my, you know, octavers and, well, two of my synth pedals, the Enzo X is running after this stuff, but I'll tell you why in a second. So, you know, all my mono synths is running through the ToneX one. So, you know, but you don't need to add that much bass anyway. So, and I also had that the Couture B on about 25% there. And as you hear it cut my highs for me. It brought the highs and the lows under control, gave you a nice firm foundation while still giving you plenty of still give you plenty of booty on it. Then you can still get really dark with it if you dag it. I didn't tighten it down enough. I just can't tighten this thing enough right now. I hope I didn't strip it. That would suck. I hate having to replace these knobs, even though they're not expensive knobs by any stretch of the imagination. It's just where they're located be throwing me off. So, but yeah, so pedal order is going to make a huge difference. There we go. Like it gives you a nice round finger tone. Wow, this one's gonna give you that nice classic tube, but allows you to slap. So, you know, I would suggest really paying attention to what you're going to be, how you're going to be using each pedal. You know, make sure, hold on, let me see what we got here. We got a little question. But make sure however you're going to be using the pedal primarily is really the defining factor. That's why I want the majority of, I think I just hit this camera. Let me make sure it's still lined up. But I want the majority of the situations I'm going to use it for to be covered. So in this situation, I want everything that's coming out of this three-way looper switcher to run through the ToneX. And I also starting to get into the spatial effects and the layering and freeze effects more. You know, so I have an MXR layers on here. So the ToneX is running into the MXR layers, and that's for a reason as well. I wouldn't want the MXR layers signal to be colored by those bass preamps. Granted, I do have a color box preamp on there that is specifically for that, but I want this to affect that preamp sound more than I want that preamp sound to affect the actual MXR layers. And I don't know what's going on with these MXR pedals. They be getting warm. Like, none of my other pedals get warm like that. Let me see, this ToneX. ToneX actually gets a little warm. Enzo X, nothing. Empress, nothing. That's crazy. Yeah, the MXR pedals are kind of getting really warm. I'm not understanding what's going on. Let me see what it got here. Says, I've been turning my MTD5 and Bartolini bass and treble up, pulling the mid switch out. Yeah, I mean, that's generally, you pretty much just EQing it. You know, that's the main thing. You want to EQ things. Oh yeah, we ain't playing. I appreciate that. All right, so yeah, so also just so you know, let's see what's going on here. Hope we're not frozen. All right, there we go. Cool. So MXR layers, I want that to be, and I also have the sustain pedal hooked up to it. So different sound than the deep freeze, and it also has chorus and tremolo built into it, and tape delay. You can create a lot of different stuff with that pedal. So it is a good pedal to check out. Depends on what you're looking for. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, my bass is designed slightly different than other basses. It's not on the same. A normal bass, the neck would be. Let me switch views here. And a normal neck on a bass would be like this, you know, compared to the neck on my bass. So basically, the direction of it would be going flat, while mine is angled slightly upward, and that's you know, was that company's pretty much main thing in design. I do like a little bit of EQ. One thing I love about the Source Audio Atlas compressor, it also has EQ built into it on top of having, you can have double compressors. You can also run multiple things, 2 different signal paths through it and compress them completely different and still have 2 compressors on each path. It has its own effects loop in there. So, but I also like to add a little bit of, I have an EQ setting for when I have synth-based stuff on the Enzo X, and that keeps the sound, gives the sound just a little bit of oomph, while I don't have to have my ToneX 1 after it, meaning I would have to run it mono. I don't want to run my Enzo X mono. I want from the Enzo X, it comes in mono, and everything from there is stereo. So that's another reason why it's not at the beginning of the chain, because I want everything that runs through the Enzo X to be stereo. I mean, to be everything running in to be mono and everything running out to be stereo. So, you know, those are the bass sounds, you know, I've created. All those in the Enzo X pack. So if you want all those bass sounds, you can just go grab them. But if you want, you know, and all these, you know, it's got octavers. Matter of fact, let me just ridiculous. Give me 1 second. I'm not sure what just happened. Let me keep this camera straight. But yeah, let me check that real quick. I don't know what just happened there. Oh, it's still coming even through for y'all. That's really strange. Let me see what happened here. But let's move on anyway. But yeah, so just a little bit of technical difficulties. Literally never had that happen before. So it's always something when you're dealing with effects and stuff. So no worries. Just beautiful pads. No other synth pedals than fire. Found it. Just a cable slightly out of place. That's all. There we go. Beautiful. amazing. The quality, the texture. Well, you know, to each his own. If all you want to do is have bass sounds, that's fine. That's fine for you. But see, I actually am a bass artist. I'm a solo artist for a living. So I don't just play bass for other people. I mostly play bass for myself and to express myself as an artist. That's actually how I make a living. So with that, you know, if you only play bass sounds, it's people don't just want to hear bass. They want to hear different sounds. And I want to hear different sounds. I'm inspired by different sounds, leads me to write different things. So, you know, you're not the first person I've gotten that from, but I appreciate you watching anyway, tuning in. You know, I do got plenty of videos where I just do bass sounds. Don't worry about that. That's coming too. They call me the Bass Negus for a reason. You know, bass is always first thing. But you just happen to tune in when you missed all the bass sounds. So, you know, the first part of the video was literally all bass sounds. So